Hey, my name's Emmanel. I'm from UCLA Department of Earth, Planetary, and Space Sciences. And if you would believe it, a bunch of students actually built a satellite this size. This is the size of satellites in the future. We sent 2 of these into space, and they orbit overhead right now. And what we study is explosions on the sun. So people know about solar flares. They've heard about the aurora, the northern lights. And so what we study is how magnetic fields from the interior of the Earth can create a big bubble around our planet that protects us. So these solar eruptions, when they get to Earth, we're trying to understand how those could affect our satellites and our astronauts in space. If we put a woman on the moon, they could get exposed to radiation from solar explosions. So ELFIN is going to try and help us predict and understand how these winds and storms from the sun, known as space weather, how these happen and how we can prepare for them. For kids that maybe have an idea of wanting to do something related to space or NASA, giving them something tangible that you can actually be involved in any number of steps in research, in building, in designing, in testing. These are all things that kids can get involved in, and all it takes is just one exposure, having a hands-on experience with a magnet, for instance. This lets us see magnetic fields in 3 dimensions, and most people have never seen that before, and when you realize that that's out in outer space and it's all this stuff happening all the time, then it kind of gets you starting to think more about what's out there. And people, I guess, tend to think about astronomy in space, but we actually study how planets form, how the sun interacts with planets, and how, if we're going to go to other planets, what are the necessary characteristics that will allow us to live there. And one of them is magnetism. Most people don't know that magnetism actually protects us. Mars doesn't have a magnetic shield, so Earth's magnetic shield is this big blue bubble, but Mars doesn't have one, so it lost its atmosphere and its oxygen and water and possibly its life. So if we want to know what's going to happen in the future, we have to understand how magnetic fields change. And Earth's magnetic field changes all the time. Solar activity is also always changing. So it's great that we can give kids an exposure to a lot of things that are going on in our own neighborhood instead of out in the distant galaxies and black holes. All that stuff's cool, but we want to study what's going on nearby.